Hi there YouTube, I'd just like to talk today a little bit about extraterrestrials and why we need disclosure from NASA and the European Space Agency. For a long time these organisations have been lying to us on a variety of topics. It started really with lies concerning Roswell. A lot of you are probably already quite aware of that story. The official story goes that it was a downed weather balloon. However, that story really doesn't add up. Because first, when the spacecraft actually crashed, they allowed a media article to be published actually saying downed UFO and what have you. And at that point in time, it was reported in the media as a downed spacecraft, and then the following day, after the military had got hold of it, oh no, sorry, that was a weather balloon. Not much difference there, is there, between a fucking weather balloon and a spaceship? There's also been quite a lot of leaked information concerning EBE-1, which was the survivor of the Roswell crashes, and they took him to the Area 51 facility. They were communicating with him for a while there and even allowed him to call back home and speak to people on his planet. Now, at the end of the day, anybody with an ounce of common sense is going to know that that has got nothing whatsoever to do with weather balloons. If it was really a weather balloon, why all the secrecy? What was with the military presence? The military don't usually get involved with things like weather balloons, do they? That's just for scientists who are studying the weather, presumably. I thought so as well. So for a start off, we need clear disclosure on Roswell. Now, beyond that, there's also footage that's come from Roswell and what have you concerning the surviving alien. That footage is out there on YouTube. So and it's like one of these old black and white ones, and from the looks of that, I mean, it's got to be genuine. There's no way they faked that. And when you take all this in totality with evidence of people being periodically abducted by aliens, most notably the grey Zeta Reticuli sort of aliens, we do need disclosure on that. And for anybody who still doubts alien life, just do a little bit of research on the subject on the internet. There's been a hell of a lot of pictures from Mars that have been taken where alien artifacts have been clearly in the picture, and NASA and the European Space Agency, oh no, they're just rocks. What, rocks with 90-degree angles? Rocks that look like depictions of animals? Don't think so, somehow. Somebody, at some point, was living on that planet. There's ruins of houses on there. There's also pieces of smashed up spaceship and God knows what else. Now, those things would not be there if nobody had been there. It's against the law of entropy. Anybody who's vaguely familiar with science knows that organised structures like that don't just appear out of nowhere. The universe tends to go from something that's ordered to something that's less ordered. To say that the ruins of a building, complete with 90-degree angles and things like that, appear out of nowhere, is like saying this flat that I'm sat in also appeared out of nowhere. Did it build itself or did somebody build it? Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. And furthermore, The other thing they've been lying to you about is the life forms that currently exist on Mars. There is, at the very least, a wide variety of plant life, most of which is in the southern hemisphere, and it is around large lakes. Yes, folks, large lakes on Mars. So when you have a look at those, and there's plenty of pictures out there of it on the internet, you have a look at those pictures, and what NASA and the ESA do is they drain the fucking colour out of it, and then they turn around and say, oh, that's just rock formations. Really? My theory is, if it looks like a lake that's surrounded by forest, it must be a lake surrounded by forest, because people know what the hell they're looking at, don't they? Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because a forest does look a certain way when it's viewed from a great height. That's not going to change according to which planet you happen to be looking on. So, for that reason, I would seriously say, just take a look at it and make up your own mind, because we're clearly being lied to. To be honest, there's absolutely no point in them continuing to hide this from us. It is so fucking obvious. It's just like everything else that they try to hide from the general population. But every time now they put on a documentary that says, are we alone in the universe? I'm like, well, that question's already been answered. They just won't officially admit to that answer for a variety of reasons. They might be fearing something like mass panic, for instance, or that it might contradict people's religious views or whatever. But think of it this way. The universe, it's a vast place. Even in this galaxy alone, there are millions and millions of stars. The odds of us being alone in the universe would be astronomically tiny. If life can evolve here, life can evolve elsewhere. And it might look a little bit different because of the slightly different conditions on that planet. But there's no reason at all why life shouldn't be evolving elsewhere. I mean, take a look at life on Earth. Everywhere that life can survive, it has survived. Right up from the Arctic Circle all the way down to the equator, in a wide variety of habitats. Why should that only apply to this planet? That doesn't make any sense. So it's about time, in my opinion, that NASA and the European Space Agency stop treating people as though they are bloody idiots and start telling people the fucking truth for the change. Now, the main reason I'm saying this is because treating people like an idiot, for starters, that doesn't do good for anybody to be treated like that. You know, I mean, nobody likes to be insulted, and it's a kind of an insult, in my opinion, to the intelligence of the general population, to turn round and to say to them that aliens don't exist when it's quite bloody clear that they do. You know, what else can we really say about that except stop insulting our intelligence, basically? You know, I mean, this is also part of the reason why you've got people going on and saying, oh, NASA lies, therefore we can't even believe the Earth is round. Oh, by the way, I think that's a fucking psyop for starters, but then again, so is not telling us about aliens. Now, considering the fact that the Roswell incident happened in the 1940s, You'd have thought by now that everything to do with Roswell should be declassified. Because if it was really a weather balloon, or even if it weren't, if it was some sort of military technology used to spy on another country back then, it's long enough back in history that, it's not going to do any harm to give disclosure now. It really isn't. So at the end of the day, there's actually no reason whatsoever why, unless it actually was aliens, which I believe it was, they would be keeping that one quiet. Things get declassified every now and again, or all of the time. And it's about time we had a declassification of the Roswell files, and preferably anything that you might have information-wise about EB1, where he came from. Well, we pretty much know it. He was definitely one of the reticulan beings. But as we know, there's more than one species of the Greys, so it would be interesting to understand which group of the Greys he came from. We've also got to have a look, I think, at the amount of technology that's been developed since Roswell, because quite a lot of the new technologies that we now have, I think, definitely have to do with derivative technologies of what was found at Roswell. And there's been other people who've said that aliens work there to this day. Now, if that's the case, I think the people of planet Earth have a right to know. At the end of the day, we definitely have got a right to know. Something as important as other species in our galaxy, we should be told about these things. They shouldn't be hidden from the general population. So, with all that being said, I hope that everyone listening to me will agree with that statement. I mean, it's got to be, disclosure's got to come, and it's got to come sometime. I think the sooner the better. Because as time goes on, it becomes more and more obvious that these organisations have been lying to us. And when an organisation lies to the population, all they're doing in reality is damaging their own credibility, which makes them less believable for anything that they may have to say in the future. So, with that said, I'll just say, for God's sake, grow a pair. And can we have some bloody disclosure, please? Okay, thank you.